in terms of asking him. I had to almost twist his arm to get additional information beyond just the fact of his interest in life and in the people of the world, which is something that is apparent particularly when you know him. Although it's not something that I probably need to ask you to do, if I could ask you to turn off your telephones at this point, it would be very helpful to your neighbor. So anyway, just a little bit about our ambassador this evening, who's going to be delivering the lecture. He's a career diplomat. He has recently had postings as the ambassador to Cuba in particular. That was his most recent posting as ambassador. He served in both the Orient and in the Western world. He speaks several languages. Just in conversation now, a minimum of 6 languages he speaks. And he has traveled, which has helped him to travel and gain insights in cross-cultural issues. Presently, he's working in the headquarters as a joint secretary. Immediately prior to this, he served as the Director General of the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, which is a very active cultural organization within India. The appointment to that position is done by the Prime Minister himself. So he takes passionate interest in promoting the unity of mankind, mutual understanding, and bonding among nations. He was born in Andhra Pradesh, so I know many of you out there can be very proud of one of your favorite sons who will be here with us. In a family of teachers. He has a varied background professionally in commerce and management, law, banking, radio, tax, insurance. I guess it all comes together in working with the people of the world. He first came to visit Adyar in 1985, and he has been returning and visiting frequently since that time. It's very, very good because he took the opportunity himself to make a connection between the Theosophical Society and the Delhi headquarters through the ICCR, the Indian Council of Cultural Relations. Recently, I had the opportunity to actually speak in Delhi, and this was something that was initiated by Ambassador Rajasekhar. So, without further comments on my part, I'd like to give him to you. He's going to speak to us about learnings of life. He has also generously provided for time for questions and answers from the floor. So as the lecture ends, we will provide time so that if you have questions to put to him, you'll be able to do that. So I give you Ambassador C. Rajasekhar.
President Tim Boyd, thank you very much for that generous introduction, very kind remarks. Winston Churchill said about somebody, about modesty, said he has much to be modest about. I hope I won't prove that by the end of my speech, but it's indeed a great honor and pleasure to stand in front of you, this august gathering, to speak and share my thoughts. I don't claim that I am a seeker, I am a saint, or much less. As the President has mentioned, I was immediately before this. We civil servants, we keep taking different avatars. Like, sometimes you are a specialist on environment, climate change expert, sometimes disarmament, sometimes trade negotiation. So in the immediately recent avatar, I had the opportunity to be able to serve in a small way, to connect. So perhaps that got me this opportunity to stand in front of you. But it's indeed very gracious of the President that by the time not only God moves in mysterious manners, the government also moves in mysterious manners. So by the time the invitation was given, by the time I have come to deliver, the government has changed my avatar, and I've very modestly, humbly conveyed that somebody else is the Director General ICCR. Would you like to invite him? They were very kind that I shall continue to have this honor. So, my dear sisters and brothers, esteemed President Tim Boyd, distinguished office bearers of the Theosophical Society, overseas delegates, I've had the pleasure of interacting with some of you from far away places, other end of the universe, from Brazil, from Finland, from Philippines, enlightened members of Theosophical Society. In fact, I'm quite humbled to stand in front of you because I see that you have spent your lifetime practicing spiritual pursuit. So what do I have more to add, ladies and gentlemen? I also am delighted to speak about this subject because it is truly dear to my heart. Let me take you back to my civil service aspirational days. In 1989, I wrote this examination. One of the papers is that you need to write an essay, and I wrote on precisely the same subject in course of an examination condition. And at the end of it, I was very pleased with what I wrote. So much so that I wanted to walk away with my answer sheet. Then the invigilator said, no, if you take it away, you will not be selected. So I really had a dilemma because this year's theme that you have so thoughtfully selected, Beyond Illusions, Call for Unity, is very, very apt for our troubled times. And I am very happy to be part of this this year's congregation. I would like to heartily congratulate the esteemed President and the entire team of Theosophical Society, which put together such a wonderful feast indeed for us. I've gone through the program that we have very enlightening lectures, seminars, and discussions by eloquent speakers, those who are very enlightened souls themselves. This, I suppose, is truly bliss to be here in this exhilarating environment. We're all aware of Theosophical Society, that it helped all of us, the mankind, to focus on the timeless wisdom. I am not here to speak about Theosophical Society and its contributions, a lot more familiar to all of you, but I would just mention its contribution in shifting the focus back to homocentric discussion, that this pursuit of wisdom is about how to improve man's well-being and how we can all live harmoniously, and in the process also helped promote better understanding of India among the Committee of Nations, because it's often misunderstood that Indians keep pursuing spirituality, which is about the other world, it's about some time later. But thanks to the good work of Theosophical Society, that in fact President Boyd also has very eloquently spoken about India's contribution to Theosophical Society, and in the process this greatly helps understanding about India in the world. Before proceeding further, I would like to pay a glowing tribute to the great masters who have shown the path, and Besant being perhaps the most prominent. Beyond what is known widely regarding her tall stature in playing the lead role in the evolution of the Theosophical Society, she has truly been a multifaceted personality. She has represented the Theosophical Society at the 1893 congregation in Chicago. She has presided over the Indian National Congress. Theosophical Society itself has been a pioneer. It was at least 10 years ahead of the Indian National Congress, which is credited to have got India freedom. So look at they being ahead, Theosophical Society and Annie Besant, ahead of the times. She led the Home Rule movement, and she was a fearless crusader to break out of conditioning. I would like to congratulate Mr. Boyd for your very pithy remarks in the booklet. Only 2 paragraphs you have captured the essence of this year's topic, that beyond illusions, the call for unity. Because we need to break out of that conditioning, that we are all victims. We are all suffering the bondage of conditioning. Recently, I was undergoing training. We have this professional training for moving up to the next rung of bureaucratic chain. So our professor was saying that imagine if you are walking in this campus and you hear a rattling sound. Although you know that human beings are a lot more dangerous than snakes, and although you know that because of our presence and activity here, they all mostly disappeared, and also the society has taken every effort to ensure our safety. But still, if you hear a rattling sound, our immediate reflexive response would be to jump, to be anxious. So this is our conditioning. We need to break out of that. So we are, as you know, when we're sitting here, President was saying that by stepping out of the comfort zone, the leader also has to pay a heavy price. Always, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, they suffered imprisonment. And similarly, in her case, she fearlessly expressed her views in her early part of life, which were considered anti-religious, and she had to legally separate from her husband, who was a clergyman. And but still, she went on to pursue what she believed, and she articulated beautifully, eloquently. And as a Britisher, she helped India gain freedom. This is the colonizer also joining the cause of the colony. This is truly emancipating, liberating. So may her life and legacy and her memory continue to guide and inspire us all. Let me return to President Boyd's recent address. We had the good honor of hosting him in New Delhi at the India International Center. And he has fully utilized the opportunity to reconnect with the contemporary circles, including among the ICCR, of course, which was the host, Indian Council for Philosophical Research, we have another body, and also the India International Center. Some of the gains of that interaction and the effort are that ICCR has offered readily to publish the collection of Annie Besant's works, which would further cement bonds not only between the Theosophical Society and India's official mainstream, also helps to better succeed in your work. I would like to heartily congratulate President Boyd for, I mentioned the welcome remarks. And he mentioned in the remarks, though very brief, of the inner voices among us. He said, inner and outer voices that constantly seek our attention, thought after thought. This takes me to a tale, bedtime story of a granny. Granny was telling her grandchild to put the child to bed. She said, "Child, in me I have two wolves. One wolf which constantly keeps me pushing towards positivity, being gracious, being helpful, being selfless, whereas the other one pulls me down to take care of myself, otherwise nobody else will take care of me. So the child interrupted, Granny, which wolf would win between the two? You mentioned about the inner voices in us is a constant. Which wolf wins? Granny said, it all depends on which wolf I am feeding. It's not anywhere external. It's in our own hands, in our own thoughts, in our own control that what we become. That's what Gautama Buddha has famously said. We are what we thought. Professor Lokesh Chandra, like President Boyd today, presided over that speech. Professor Lokesh Chandra is very eminent. He is almost 90-year-old. He is the president of the ICCR. He has written 500 books, more than 500. And he, during the interaction, he made a very insightful observation that the Theosophical Society has sowed the seeds also for patriotic nationalism in India, which is the foundation for the present ruling party, Bharatiya Janata Party. This should create a ready bond that you may like to further explore with the current ruling establishment in India, and there would be warm reception to do research and further discussion, deliberation on Annie Besant and her work and her thoughts. In fact, we also have further afterwards continued this discussion with the Delhi University, which is the premier university, which is also approaching 100th anniversary in Delhi. Will be also delighted to be associated with your work. As the Theosophical surveys recounts and builds on timeless wisdom, it is pertinent to note that although modern knowledge per se is expanding, leaps and bounds, knowledge without wisdom, knowledge without compassion is not only incomplete, but it is perhaps degenerating and even dangerous. There is a nice story. I don't know if you are familiar. There were 4 brothers who went in 4 directions to acquire knowledge. And they agreed that they would meet after 10 years. As agreed, they came back. The first brother said, if there is a dead animal, here it is, a lion. I can set the bones together to create the skeleton. Wow. The second one said, I can flesh it together. The third one said, I can give it life. The youngest one said, wait a minute, let me climb a tree. Unless you have that presence of mind and wisdom. So this mere knowledge of giving life to a lion, which perhaps is figurative of where we are heading today in terms of science and technology, may only lead us to misery and strife. This is what, summing up President Boyd's speech, Professor Lokesh Chandra said, knowledge without compassion is dangerous. In fact, this is also your central theme in 2014, that you hit the nail on its head. There may be a notion that spiritual dimension is about the other world or later part of life. I see that most of our brothers and sisters here are into the retired stage of their life, but it need not. Pursuing spiritual dimension need not be postponed, deferred to later stage of life. Perhaps the Indian concept of ashramas, there is a concept that during your childhood, you acquire knowledge, and during your grihastha period, you acquire wealth and you support people who are in other stages of life, and later you retire then you pursue spiritual, your self-realization needs. But I would like to differ and say that consciousness is the essence of our very being. If you are conscious, then you are on top of the world. The physical manifestation that we see and we pursue, matter, is but a pale shadow of consciousness and the reality. This has been proved time and again. The consciousness triggers the thought process. Thought leads to speech perhaps, and action. Action in term, as you recall, behavior and conditioning. And collectively, we may call it a culture and tradition and protocols. Hence, it's important and very effective and essential to address this whole process in case you want to set it right, to elevate our consciousness and placing it on the right track, right at the before the manifestation level, so that we can truly individually realize our potential and also can have greater social harmony. Here I would like to dwell a bit about self. There is this, the Atma, Paramatma, the self and the supreme. Mike Tyson, the boxer, he made a little remark which was doing WhatsApp rounds, that women inspire us to aspire for greatness and then obstruct us from accomplishing it. It's a little uncharitable. I don't subscribe to it. But perhaps this would very aptly, accurately describes the role of self. Self or matter is the means, the necessary means to accomplish, but at the same time is a dangerous hindrance also in self-realization. Because this self sways you and overwhelms you. And also self creates identity and divisions. That I am me, I am from Andhra Pradesh, so I should fight with people from Telangana. So before I came here, we were all enjoying tea there, and people asked me, where are you from? I have truly been around the world and I don't have a home. In fact, 2004 we were transferred from Tokyo, one end of the universe, to the other end of the universe, port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. So on the way, we were transiting through New York. My son was about 6 years, a 5-year-old. So somebody asked him, tell me, where is your home? The little boy said, we don't have a home, that's why we're going around the world. I didn't give him any talking point. I didn't brief him or tutor him. That is the condition. Perhaps it's a useful condition for a diplomat. Come to think of it. This is what, during Sangam period, which is 6th century BC, before Christ, was very pithily captured. Yadum ure, yavaram keler. This is whichever village, town, is all mine. You're all my kith and kin. In fact, that was what the conversation during lunch also, that we have never been far away from each other, but it's always wonderful to come closer. And these divisions, that we are this nation, we are this ethnicity, also very interesting. About 12 years ago, there was this project, mapping of the human genome, which was completed. And it exploded the myth and re-established what always you have been saying, that we're all one, organically linked to each other. The mapping of the human genome has firmly established the unity of mankind and the unreal nature of the apparent differences between the races, our appearance. Human genome has significantly more segmental duplications that's nearly identical between, say, somebody in Africa to East Asian, which to naked eye we say no, cannot be. But they're very nearly identical, repeated sections of DNA than previously supposed, or we were ready to, willing to believe. This is what President Boyd said 2 years ago, that Theosophical Society has put forward a vision which was way ahead of the capacity of science, capacity of the world view to come to terms with. You've been truly pioneers. Spiritual realization or even pursuit in the direction enhances clarity that you can see beyond these apparent or illusions. And in every activity, human activity that we aspire, we can certainly accomplish better. Through practice, we come to realization that it's all perception. Where do we live? We live in our perception. We may all be here, but we may live in our own worlds. In India, cricket is religion. We had God called Sachin Tendulkar. So he was once asked, Sachin, it's the same game, same opponent, even same pitch, same place, comes to Chennai. Once he is cheaply out for a duck, another time he cracks a double century. So how do you do it? What's the difference? There's no difference, except he said, it is the frame of mind, my perception, frame of mind in which I enter the day, I open my innings, I get into the stadium. That's why our traditional prayer, when we step out of bed in the morning, first thing that we say, Mother Earth, please excuse me that as I wake up, I go about my life, I have to tread on you, step on you. Samudra Vasane Devi Parvatas Tanamandale Vishnupatni Namastubhyam Padas Parsam Kshamasvame. Oh Mother Earth, please excuse me that I'll step on you. Although you've been very generous, very gracious to support me, my family, all of us, society, I have to perforce step on you for my being, my going about my life. But I shall do that diligently, gratefully, with a sense of deep appreciation. So this is the right frame of mind that I say that we should get into. Then at the origin state, we would have things right, and there is no illusion of division. There is no need for, forget about strife, discord and violence and killing each other, not even to have uncharitable views about each other. This consciousness, I think you mentioned about Thomas Alva Edison, that he was such a great genius. He was the most prolific inventor. He said not only human beings and animals and other living beings, even hydrogen, that's what you said, has life and sense. Now, when you reach that heightened, elevated state of consciousness, things are completely on a different plane. Thanks to your invitation, for the last 4 months, I have also taken it seriously. I have taken a guru. I started practicing yoga. I practiced yoga since childhood around the world. As an administrator, I propagated yoga, organized yoga festivals. But recently, I have begun to realize also additional dimensions of yoga, which is meditation and pranayama, which will take you to a higher plane of self-realization. When you're in such a state, then this true liberation, then when you can remove self from the equation, then there is only bliss and success and harmony. I'm very fond of asking this question. Say, if you are given a question, what is the largest number that you can constitute, you can form with 2 digits? Most people, of course, negative people may say it can start from 00. Most people may say 99. But there is true possibility, which you alluded to in your remarks, to another possibility, which is 9 to the power of 9. So there is no limitation physically unless there is a limitation in the spirit. This brings me, you mentioned again about the occasional experience of selflessness, unselfish experience. This story has been narrated by a boy from a village in Goa. That part, western part of India, they carry family names after the village. Like me, I am Chintapalli. My ancestors come from that village, Chintapalli. So, this village is Pari in Goa, and hence the boy carries the family name Parikar. So what is the claim to fame of this village Pari? That it grows sweet watermelons. And when our hero was a boy, child, he used to go to the market. There was an elderly farmer merchant of watermelons. He used to invite children during summer and treat them with the largest and the sweetest watermelons. They're all free for you to enjoy. The largest and the sweetest he would handpick and offer free to children. Only thing is, he would keep a ball and say, please deposit the seeds into that. So this is incredible. We go about, the name, Incredible India. How can? Say, normally, the market is trying to push the inferior quality for a price and offering discount. And here he is giving the best that he has for free. So this was a puzzle for the boy, and he grew up wondering about this mystery. And then he got selected for IIT, the Indian Institute of Technology. He went away from the village. Then after that he studied masters and management and came back about 10 years later. Again went back summertime to that very place to discover that that elderly person passed away. And his son has succeeded to the business. And he said, what rubbish. Giving away the best watermelons for free? No way. I am going to make money and more money selling them in, I don't know what is the local market, in Khan market in Delhi, and export. And the boy paid for it, and now the grown-up man, and tasted to realize in 10 years the watermelons have grown smaller in size and also less sweet. Anybody who has studied agriculture among you? Plant breeding. So the elderly man was very wise. He was using the children to select the best and the sweetest and the largest watermelons for breeding, so that constantly they were improving in quality and desirability, whereas this son, without realizing it, is moving in the opposite direction. And who is this boy? Who is real story? I said, it's about here and now. It's not unreal to later part of life, about next life. This is Manohar Parrikar. Who is he? The Defense Minister of India today. You can double check with him whether Rajasekhar told you truth or making up. So this is the thing, that altruism has great value if we can simply step back from selfishness and rat race and pursuit of individual well-being. There was one Dr. Abdul Sattar. Some of you may have heard that he recently passed away, maybe earlier this year, Pakistan, in Karachi. He is a Muslim doctor, but all through his life, he served patients from all religions and free, and he ran ambulance also. And Pakistan, at a time of intolerance, we all suffer. I'm not particularly saying Pakistan. So people would ask, why are you serving Christian patients? Why are you serving non-Muslim patients? And why are you expending your own money, resource on that? The answer is quite enlightening. He said, the ambulance which is carrying the patients is more Muslim, although it doesn't have life in your understanding, than you are. Because for patients, there is no religion. So here I'm very glad to welcome in our midst Sister Alfonsa, who joins us today. I'm very grateful that you came, because in the normal tradition, Catholic nuns, I don't know whether permitted to step out and go and listen to the other world view or other views of points of view. She has spent 5 decades of her life devoted to educate the underprivileged girl children. I went to Japan soon as I became a diplomat to realize where is the key for the development success of a society? The education of girl child. So that boys perforce have to study. This is what Mahatma Gandhi said. If you educate a boy, you educate a person, individual. If you educate a girl, you are educating a family. Because perforce a boy has to study, otherwise he'll not find a bride. And is this unity, human being, is it only limited to mankind, human beings? No. Say, not only pet animals, even wildlife, wild animals also are capable of realizing the value of friendship, love, and the greater consciousness, higher sense. Some of you may be familiar with the tale of Androcles. I don't know if I'm pronouncing right. Androcles, the Greek story of the medieval period. Here was a slave who ran away to hide and escape into a cave, only to see that there is a lion there in the cave, and it was injured. It had a thorn and a big injury. And Androcles overcame his fear and has treated the lion, and eventually he was caught, because here is a running away slave. He was caught, and when the king ordered him to be thrown to a hungry wild beast, as providence would have, here is the same lion which is brought and uncaged, unleashed. But it remembered with a great sense of gratitude how he saved his lion's life. So this became the subject of George Bernard Shaw. He wrote Man and the Lion, which also was depicted as a painting widely. So we may call this consciousness quotient. Consciousness like intelligence and emotions, which is much at the origin, root of our thought process. And like we have IQ and EQ, it's time to look at the CQ, consciousness quotient. I would like to congratulate you that you're all at the evolved high end of CQ, that you have taken interest to pursue this. And we should seriously conduct, research and propagate how we can do this, how we can enhance, so that we promote greater harmony and well-being. And unsurprisingly, this pursuit of higher consciousness seamlessly converges if you practice and attain greater consciousness. Then whatever is your field of activity, you would be a better professional at that. If it is medicine, recently I had a conversation with a very renowned cardiologist. He said, this is now called mindfulness. That is very fashionable. That how to unleash your own mind power, willpower, power of prayer to help the patient. You may be familiar with the placebo effect concept. And in management, always managers have to take decisions in imperfect conditions, imperfect data. Never the information is complete, that you have the input completely that you need. So you first have data, then you glean it and you have information, then from there you collect knowledge, and at the top of it is wisdom. But there is something even greater, higher than that, which is intuition. If you can develop that intuition, then you would evolve and be a better manager. This truth has been variously articulated by various scholars, various religious leaders. All religions preach the same thing. I would recall Ramayana. Rama says this: Ayam nija paro veti ganana laguchetasam udara charitananam vasudhaiva kutumbakam. This is me, this is real, and the other is far away. You are not me, so I can be selfish, I can shortchange you, is the way petty people think. But for the Udara Charitananam, those who are large-hearted, those who are conscious, who have attained higher consciousness, for them the whole world, whole universe is but one single family. So there is no question of disunity, division, that there is strife and we fight. I would like to conclude saying that Theosophical Society has always been a pioneer in not only flagging India's and the world's attention to this timeless wisdom, and shall continue to strive to connect the like-minded individuals and institutions. I am truly grateful to this opportunity. I would like to conclude recalling Annie Besant. In her own life, she was earlier pursuing secular matters. Then she moved to pursue spirituality. Then she said, thank God, I have moved from storm to peace. May her work and life continue to inspire us. Thank you very much for this great opportunity to be with you, this August gathering, and thank you very much for your kind attention. I'll be very happy in case you have any comment, observation, and questions. I don't claim that I know everything, but I'm very happy to be here with you. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank the ambassador for his words and for his many kind words about the Theosophical Society and its work. I think he has, in many ways, captured some of the spirit of its influence here in India in particular. But as he had said, he's open to questions, so we have a question from the floor. Speak up, please.
Yes, please. Thank you very much, doubly. Firstly, for congratulating me, also asking me a very simple question. Join Theosophical Society and be more active.
Can I ask for a question, please? All right. You have asked a question at this point. So maybe you can answer the question in brief. This is one of the difficulties of asking for questions from the floor. They can be difficult and they can also be speeches. I would like for you to give some questions, if you would.
Less than a minute.
Less than 30 seconds. Hold on just a second. There's a question on the floor. Is there anything you...
Yeah. Thank you very much. I wish I were the Prime Minister of India to represent the government of India to answer that question. But no, I am not. I am a small speck, a small cog in the big, the machinery. And that's the essence of it, that, self is, we realizing that how very small speck we are in this infinite universe. Out of that, how ephemeral the life is, that remove yourself, I think later speakers are also coming to dwell upon that, articulate on that if how to remove the self from this. This is a whole aspiration exercise. And coming back to the secular part of it, that this is a question on which the political parties campaign, saying that we will give you smaller, leaner, more efficient government. Donald Trump has one. And the other one says that we'll utilize the tax revenues to better serve, better provide you services. So this is the debate of the political domain. And certainly I am here. I think you may also be coming after me that I worked in income tax department. That was a very short period, 1.5 years. The issue is that there is room always for improvement, for better collection, and for better utilization of tax money. That we all agree with you.
Gentleman here has a question of less than 30 seconds.
This is, I think, I may recall Mahatma Gandhi's quote, or even Gautam Buddha also said the same thing, that what all I said, please do not accept it as the gospel truth, but put it to the test of your personal experience. only what passes, take it. So same thing about you. All of us shall evolve as individuals to have the judgment whether the guru is what he's saying is right or misleading, because he also has the self. If he is coming from an angle, he has an agenda, an axe to grind. And I all along thought that we should not have any guru or godman living, because there is room for misleading and in law exercising undue influence. But after your invitation, I looked to and I found a great guru. I was taking a stroll in the park in Delhi, and there was a yoga class going on. During these winter days also, every morning, 7 o'clock, he is there selflessly. He is teaching yoga, which I have never seen before. All the three dimensions, physical exercise and meditation and breathing, and very selfless. He doesn't seek anything. So, lucky are those who find true gurus. That shall be the quest, and you shall have your own house. As Mahatma Gandhi said, let noble thoughts come from all directions and blow, but I shall not allow my house to be swept away. So you shall have that anchor and that balance to judge, to see through what is right and what is wrong. That is your judgment.
Okay. We have a question right in front here. Very good question.
Yeah, I also studied anthropology as one of my subjects to this examination. One thing is that this culture essentially is collective traditional adaptation of that society to a given environment, isn't it? So he was saying that he comes from a cold place, New York, sub-zero temperature, -10, -15, and we here are very warm. So what do you do to differing climatic conditions is what we evolve as a culture. So here wearing a white, sparkling white shirt is the correct thing to do. There you have to wear layers and insulate cold. I'll give you a beautiful example. I had the good occasion of serving a Buddhist Lama from Ladakh, Kushok Bakula Rinpoche. Rinpoche means Jagat Guru. He's a great teacher, master of spirit. I was his deputy in Mongolia. Capital is Ulaanbaatar, the coldest capital in the whole wide world. So after some time, so I'm a vegetarian and he Buddhist monk. He is a non-vegetarian. He eats beef. So to my small, simple mind, it puzzled me, and I asked him, Rinpoche, if I may, how do you explain, how do you reconcile eating beef with Buddhist concept, doctrine of non-violence? So what he said is, I asked him, why do you, whereas he releases fish as liberating. Wherever he travels, he is releasing fish, that we shall be compassionate towards fish. So he said, what he said is quite insightful. He said, see Rajasekhar, to feed one person, you have to kill many fish. That means you have to take that many lives. Whereas, if you slaughter one cow, you can feed perhaps 20, 30, 40 people. So as a count of life, eating beef is better than eating fish. Our colleagues, our friends from Bengal and coastal places may have violent disagreement. But then I scratched my back and said, where is this coming from? The monk is from Ladakh, which is like Mongolia, experiences sub-zero temperatures. You preach the virtues of eating vegetables and vegetarianism is lost, because not possible in Ladakh. So they can only sustain themselves adapting to what is available. So your geography dictates what you eat, what is available. Your geography dictates what you eat. What is available dictates what do you eat. So there is no value judgment on culture. We all have to learn to respect each other's culture as evolution. I recommend a great novel, work of fiction by Achebe, Nigerian writer who recently passed away, Things Fall Apart. So he beautifully weaves this fiction as to how conflict is developing between the Western colonial powers coming in, and they are imposing themselves on a traditional society. So there is material pursuit coming in. Otherwise, if you can take this out again, taking out self out of the equation, the cultures, they're all adaptations of collective societal response to the environment.
Thank you. Over here. Thank you.
Like a good student preparing for exam, I am quite prepared for this exam, for this question. I often had that question crossing my own mind, that to our children, shall we tell them to be nice to only people who are nice to them, or they shall be nice to everybody, including those who are hurting, harming, undermining, pulling their leg? So the answer perhaps is that you realize this, the totality, the ability to see things as they are, you call it occult, and minimize your needs and enhance your capacity to help and to suffer, to tolerate, to adapt. Then you are not worried when your needs are frugal, that you don't need to worry how I can amass big wealth, how I can shortchange others. That question does not worry us anymore.
We will have one more question, and I guess you've chosen it's you. So the question is, can we do anything to remove cultural differences? Is the question for those of you who did not hear is it possible to remove the effects, I guess, of cultural differences in the world?
No, basically, once we realize that we're all one, united mankind, and we will have a greater sense of affection towards the other person and towards their cultural background. So it doesn't matter if the other person doesn't speak English, if the other person doesn't look like me. So that is where it comes from, the sense of affinity. Some of you may have heard the name Che Guevara. Che Guevara, the Argentine doctor who adapted Cuba and fought for revolution, his daughter's name translates from Greek as affinity. So if you develop that empathy, Vedavyasa, some of you may have heard, he perhaps was the most prolific writer. He wrote 4 Vedas. He wrote 18 Puranas, epics. And Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Indian philosophical outlook and Hindu philosophical outlook, and he has embedded it in his own autobiography, which is Mahabharata. And at the end of it, when he turned around, there is a tome, there's a mountain of works that he has created. Then he wondered whether he has succeeded in conveying his message to the mankind. So he asked Narada, so do you think people will be able to understand all this that I wrote? So Narada said, in these days, it's very difficult to expect, people to read books of, that volumes. So there is solution called executive summary. So please write executive summary. And Vyasa was eminent. So he wrote a very pithy executive summary, just like President Boyd. He said, Paropakaraya punyaya parapidana papaya. Develop empathy. If you empathize, if you help out, that is what positivity is all about. So if you practice this, I suppose there is no reason for cultural strife based on cultural differences. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. I'd like to say that I think I feel much, much more comfortable that there are people such as Ambassador Rajasekhar in government circles. It makes me feel much more at ease. I want to thank you very much for all the things that you've said, and we have something that we'd like to give to you, if you would, on behalf of the Theosophical Society. Again, thank you. So this is this evening's Besant lecture. Thank you.
And, all the very best for your deliberations during this year's congregation. Thank you very much.